Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Does Deion Sanders still believe in his team? Does Deion Sanders still believe in his team? Let's talk about it. What's up, family? I hope that you're well. I hope that you're blessed. I hope that you are safe. This is the Damien Jones podcast. I'm your host, Damien Jones. I'm fired up. You know, I took a week off from talking about Coach Prime. You know, they had a bye week, and now they played yesterday. They played the UCLA Bruins, and so I want to talk about it. But the question is, after this game, does Coach Prime still believe in his team? You know, after that first win at TCU, he berated Ed Werder and said, do you believe? Asked everybody else, do you believe? And here we are after 8 games, and I'm wondering, does Coach Prime still believe in his team? Y'all make sure you follow me right now on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Noble Negro. You see it down below. I hope you've had a blessed week. I hope you've had having a blessed day. God bless you wherever you may be. This is Damien Jones podcast, the best conversation in America. And so I'm fired up because some of y'all are getting on my nerves on Twitter, on Facebook, but particularly I share most of my content and commentary on these things on Twitter, that you can have better conversations. That's why you need to follow me. Make sure you subscribe right now as well. Make sure you hit the like button right now. Subscribe, like, share, all those good things. Leave a comment. Let me know how you feel. I'm going to respond to you. I love your comments. No matter if you agree or disagree with me, I'm going to respond to you, and I really appreciate it. Don't get me wrong. I think from this last game they lost. I don't even know what the score was now. I watched the whole game. There's a lot of credit. There's some positive things I want to say about the team. I'm seeing some improvement in some areas, right? You know, I believe in being a strong critic, but I also believe in offering the same positivity and uplifting people with that with the same energy that the critique came. And I thought the defense was better. This is a defense that we've seen statistically is the worst defense in the country. Dead last in almost every category. Most yards. Hold on one second. Take my phone off the Wi-Fi. Most yards given up, big plays, touchdowns, most first downs given up, all that stuff, right? So this is a team that is bad defensively. I think, honestly, I think Charles Kelly needs to be stripped of his defensive coordinator duties and just relegated to just a recruit. He's a hell of a recruiter. Defensively, calling plays, coaching up this new generation, I don't think he's effective anymore. All right, it's painstakingly clear. But yesterday, the defense played better. They created 4 turnovers. Travis showed his tail yesterday. Travis had 2 incredible interceptions yesterday. Okay, incredible interceptions. I mean, they were just beautiful. The way he read the offense, read what the quarterback was going to do. He's just an incredible defensive player, and I think he should stay on defense and stop playing offense. Right? Shiloh made some great plays. I think Shiloh is not great in coverage, but he can come up and stop the run and make the boom. And so he had some hits that created turnovers. I think there was another kid that created a turnover. So the defense stepped up and played much better than they have been. So coming out of the bye week, I think there were some adjustments that were made. So I want to give credit there defensively. Now, Shiloh, you know, still being an idiot, got himself thrown out of the game, trying to make the fancy hit, just make the short tackle. It wasn't they flagged him for targeting. It wasn't targeting, but they threw him out of the game. It was definitely a 15-yard penalty, but he shouldn't have been thrown out of the game. But the defense stepped up and played much better. They got to the quarterback. They had some sacks. They created turnovers. The best I've seen this defense play all year. So I want to give them credit there. Offensively, there's no credit to give. The offense is regressing each and every week. The offensive line is probably the worst I've seen them. I mean, it was just awful. I think at one point in the third quarter, at that point in the game, Colorado had 1 yard rushing in the third quarter. Not the third quarter itself, but first, second, third in the entire game, they only had 1 yard. I think they finished the game with 20 yards rushing. The defense gave up 218 yards rushing. I predicted 250. But offensively, they're just awful. I want to stop this narrative that Shedeur is just this great quarterback that makes no mistakes and it's all on the offensive line. A lot of these sacks are Shedeur's fault. He's holding on to the ball too fast. And let me just say this. He cannot read defenses very well. He's not great. If you look at the tape, he's not great with pre-snap reads. He's not great at all. The scouting report now, Colorado's offense is just blitz them every play. They can't block, and Shedeur doesn't know how to read it and pick it up and change the protection. So teams are blitzing every play. He's running for his life, but part of that is, as quarterback, you can see the blitz coming, change the protection, and try to get yourself something, change a route, make a route hot, and so you can get the ball out of your hands. But he's trying to be Superman on every play. Shedeur's a hell of a quarterback. But there's a lot of blame to go around as to where they are and how the offense is being led. And that's on him. He's the quarterback. So he can't just absolve himself, oh, it's the offensive line. Let me talk about this offensive line for a second here. People keep saying, well, the offensive line is bad. Wait till he gets to his better players in. Deion has 3-star offensive linemen. Number one, these are not guys from last year. He got rid of the whole roster, and these are guys that he brought in. He and his coaches brought in. They went in the portal and got these guys. So these are his players that he chose. So you can't choose these players and say, oh, they're not any good. He chose them. They're 3-star linemen. There aren't many great offensive linemen in the country. The 4- and 5-star kids go to the blue blood programs, LSU, Alabama, Ohio State, Penn State, Florida, Florida State, Miami. They're going to those schools. They're not going to Colorado. He's not going to get any 4 and 5 stars. So every other school in the country outside of those 5 or 6 I just named are working with 3-star offensive linemen. And they're winning games. The issue here in Colorado is the coaching. No matter who's in your locker room, you got to coach him up. You chose him. You got to coach him up. You don't complain in the middle of the season about how much talent you don't have. You take what's in your locker room. You ask these guys to be here. You told their parents you're going to take care of them, and you coach these kids up. That means you change your schemes to fit the strengths of the guys you have in the locker room. That's what coaching is. Talk to me, somebody. And so I want to stop this narrative that the offensive line is so woeful. These are the same level of kids that every other school in America has, except for maybe 5 or 6 schools that have been historically for 30 years blue blood programs. Colorado coaching staff cannot coach. They are horrible coaches. Look at their resumes. Most of them they can't coach. What is Deion's coaching resume? He was a high school, private school offensive coordinator at the highest level for him. Well, I wouldn't say the highest level, but that's what he was. That's his coaching resume before Jackson State was a high school, private school offensive coordinator. Then he went to Jackson State where he had more talent than everybody, so he didn't really have to coach. And now he's at a level where he has to coach, but he can't coach his coaches because he doesn't fully understand every facet of the football game. He doesn't know what's going on with the offensive line, so he can't coach his offensive line coach and hold him accountable because he doesn't understand offensive line coach play. He doesn't understand all the defensive concepts. He doesn't understand all the offensive concepts, route tree, run blocking, things of that nature. They aren't good coaching. So let's stop blaming these kids as though they aren't great. They came there to be coached. Great talent still needs coaching. So if you got one kid that's not performing, okay, that's an isolated incident. But you're talking about every week the entire offensive line is underperforming not blocking, doesn't have the right scheme. That's coaching. That's coaching, people. Give me a like right now. Subscribe right now. Tell me what you think in the comments. Damien Jones Podcast. Does Deion Sanders still believe in his team? And so after the press conference, listen, Deion is eating some humble pie right now. God, he's eating some humble pie. All that yip-yap talk that we heard 3 or 4 weeks ago is quieting down so much. And instead of him throwing it on his coaches, now he's continuing to throw every kid under the bus, not named Travis, Shador, or Shiloh. Throwing kids under the bus. So let me let you hear this one clip from the press conference. I told you I'm big on leadership, and I think Deion is one of the most tackiest leaders, one of the most tacky leaders in college football. Self-absorbed, self-serving. I like him, but as a coach, he's horrible. He's horrible. So let me show you this really quickly. Let me pull this up for you. Damien Jones Podcast. This is Coach Prime. Listen to the question from the reporter, and this is why I'm asking the question: does Deion Sanders still believe in his team? He wants us to believe, but listen to his words. Does he believe?
Coach, you mentioned the coaching aspect of it as well.
Yes, sir.
Specifically with the offensive line, I mean, what has to improve in that aspect besides from
the line? The line has to improve. It ain't no aspect. The line has to improve.
Coach, we've talked about run-pass balance a lot.
Yeah.
I think it was up until that last drive, maybe 7 carries of running back to like 34 passes.
Yeah.
How much is any of that is a struggle for you guys right now?
Well, it's a struggle to run the ball.
They can't run the ball.
To run the ball, and we got to.
But just listen to how he explains this stuff. He's not deep. He doesn't understand what's going on. See, Deion didn't come up through the ranks as a coach and work his way up like a lot of these other coaches. So he doesn't really understand the depths of football from a coaching standpoint. He was a great player because he had one position and one job. Now you're responsible for the job of every kid and got to understand what's going on. He can't explain it. Listen to him.
To figure that out, because now you're one-dimensional, and it's easy to stop a team when they're one-dimensional, and that's who we are at this point in time.
He's right.
To follow up on that, could being able to commit to that, as you talked about,
Commit to what?
Running ball. Could that help?
Yeah, I think we committed to it on first down, and we was second and 15.
The offensive coordinator is horrible at play calling. You got to continue to run the ball to keep the defense
First
honest.
downs are so vital. First downs are everything. I mean, first downs are when we held them statistically on first downs, it was hard for them to move the ball as well. And when we're getting negative yards on first down, that's a tremendous loss. Because now you're going to throw the ball on second down, and they're calling your defenses pertaining to that loss.
I just asked that in terms of the big picture, trying to keep Shador upright, healthy.
The big picture, you go get new linemen. That's the picture. I'm
Did
going
you
to
hear
paint it perfectly.
Let's run this back. Let's run that back.
Travis is Travis.
Upright, healthy.
The big picture, you go get new linemen. That's the picture. I'm going to paint it perfectly.
People, how tacky is that? How tacky is that for a head football coach to recruit kids to go into the living room of families, look the parents in the eye and say, give me your kid. I'm going to take good care of them. I'm going to make them a man. I'm going to make them football players. They're going to work hard. We're going to try to win games. And here you are with 4 games left. The team is struggling. Your offensive line is struggling. And when asked about the play of the offensive line, you say, we're going to go get new linemen. Man, this is just poor leadership. I told y'all 2 weeks ago, I said, has he lost the locker room? The locker room is done now. The locker room is done, people. He has completely lost the locker room when you throw the entire offensive line under the bus because you don't believe in them. You just said we got to go get new linemen. These are guys that you picked. So do you not believe in these kids anymore, Deion? And so if you don't believe in them, why should we believe in them? You just clearly said, I'm going to replace these kids, these teenagers, at the end of the season. But guess what? The season isn't done. You still got 4 games left. So how are these kids supposed to pick up themselves, find inspiration in your halftime speeches, knowing that you saying you're going to get rid of them? You're going to toss them to the side. Now, the offensive line in the only facet that's making mistakes on this team. They aren't, right? Travis is making mistakes. Shiloh's making mistakes. Are you going to replace? Have you talked about replacing those guys? Shadour's made mistakes. Are you talking about replacing them? And you throw these are teenagers, people. Like this isn't a workplace. Somebody just said to me, they do this in the workplace. This ain't a workplace relationship. Workplaces, I'm working at this place for $20 an hour, and I have to play by these rules to get paid to feed my family. That's not the situation here. Colorado is not paying these kids directly. They're not employees. Deion recruited these guys and asked them to be there. And they came to believe and listen to him and his coaching staff and believe in his vision. In 8 games into the season, he's saying, these kids are worthless to me. This offensive line is worthless to me. How can you go for it? Talk about a toxic and negative workplace. Deion does not believe in his team anymore. And they're 4-4 right now. They got 4 tough games in the rest of the season. I believe they're going to finish 4-8. They're not going to win another game. This locker room is trash. I don't care how much talent you go get in here. When you're talking about kids like that, as a parent, I'm not sending my kid to you because you're going to throw him under the bus and trash my kid like that. So he ain't going to get the 4- and 5-star offensive lineman, right? This is just a hot mess. This is a complete circus, as I've continued to say, people. Deion Sanders does not believe. He's a carnival barker. This is a complete circus. This season is essentially done. We had a great time the first couple weeks of the season. They started 3-0, and now they're 1-4 ever since. This team is poorly coached, as I've said. Y'all be mad at me all you want to. Poorly coached, poorly led, and these kids deserve better. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I'm just sick and tired of this. Bad leadership pisses me off, especially when you're dealing with kids and leading kids. These kids deserve better than to be a part of the Deion Sanders self-absorbed circus. Let me know what you think in the comments. This is the Damien Jones Podcast.